De volta, muito bem, estamos de volta diretamente ao vivo com M. Night Shyamalan. Night, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's
What a great
pleasure.
place. Thank
it's
you.
a great pleasure. How do you like the con so far?
Oh my God, the energy's amazing. Look at you guys. Look at that. It's amazing.
Great.
We are honoring signs right here
see.
because, well, we as a everybody's just Marcelo had the idea and we said, okay, let's do it because
Yeah,
we
that-
love
that
this
was-
movie. And
Oh, thank you so much. It
wanna
makes me
join
feel
us?
it makes me feel right at home here with you guys, and you're backstage.
wanna
Oh
join
yeah, I can
us?
try it on
If
for
you
a little
want.
bit. I've
Yeah.
tried them on many times in the past. Boy, and this one fits pretty well.
yes,
Well, actually, it does.
Julia did this. The
Julia did this
girl
one?
in our
Yeah, in
Redação.
our newsroom.
But
yeah,
she's
well,
not-
Yeah, in our
Julia-
newsroom.
She's a big fan. Of
she's
Thank
a
you
big
so
fan
much.
and she did this
Thank
with
you.
all her love.
So you just did the panel, right?
Yeah, I did. It was wonderful.
How was that?
It was amazing. It was the energy in there is so like loving, and they really, you know, it's more than entertainment. They really connected. It's theirs. They own it, and you can feel it. They feel the ownership of it, of these stories for them, and it makes you feel so good to tell stories to people that own it like that.
And what can you tell us about this new movie? The relation of these three characters that are very specific characters.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Glass is the Vitro is the conclusion of Split and Unbreakable. So it's a very unusual thing. It's the end of two different movies from two
Yes.
different generations and two different studios. I think it's a rare thing. I don't know if it's ever happened, and I don't know if it'll ever happen again. So we feel super lucky to finish this story and have all these characters interact. And you know, it was so delicious for me. Think about the writer having all these characters, these comic book characters, in one place at one time, and all in this mental institution, all together, and dealing with the treatment of them being talked out of their beliefs.
This is 2018. You have extensive body of work now after Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. Why did it took so long to finish this trilogy?
Yeah, you know, when I wrote Unbreakable, I was thinking of doing all three, but Unbreakable was the first of the kind of comic book movies, and strangely, and I was saying this at the panel, that it was perceived as a very uncommercial thing, comic books. And the theory, and I was saying this at the panel, that they thought that only people that go to conventions for comic books would be interested in it, and that's a very small group. That's what they said at that time. So the actual irony of it, the reason I didn't make it is because there was a sense of like, would this even work? Would anybody be interested in a movie about comic books? And so how ironic is that now? But that was the reason, and I made it in a very dark tone, Unbreakable, and I think for that time it was too dark, but audiences have shifted, and they're able to enjoy and take darker stuff and have that kind of weird humor in it, and so everything just came back into balance, and I made Split, and I made it kind of secretively Split, and then I got to make Glass here, so lucky.
I was really happy when I saw the trailer, the first trailer for Glass, because it looks like a comic book. And I think nowadays superhero movies, they allow to be more like comic books. Was that your intention in terms of tone and colors?
Yeah, I mean, the way I make movies is very much like an illustrator makes a comic book. I draw out every single shot and what is its meaning and why is it framed that way? Why do we use that lens? Is the hand reaching out to you? Is it far away? Is there someone in the background watching? All those thoughts are taken into account, and we only shoot those shots. I don't shoot anything else. I shoot just like cells of a comic book, and so it actually feels like a comic book because you know that I've painted this picture and I'm putting them together to tell a story like a comic book.
It's funny because Hitchcock used to do all the storyboards, and he said that it's really boring when you got to shoot things because you already planned all the movie in your head. Do you feel like that too?
Well, I can relate to the idea that you have it in your head so specifically, and then when you go to reality, though the sofa is not quite where I wanted it to be, and the way you're sitting back is a little farther than I was, you know, everything's just a little bit imperfect, so you feel like it's messy. But I've come to love that kind of messiness and embrace it now.
And how many characters this time James McAvoy will play? And what was the challenge to show all of them?
You know, in Split, James played 9 of the 24 characters. And in Glass, in Vidro, he plays 20 of them. So you get to see him play 20 personalities on screen. It's insane. Nobody can do what he did. It's just your jaw will be on the ground when you finish watching what he did. It's not possible to do that many characters, and he did. I had all of them in the movie, all 24, and I had to cut a few for time. So I'm ruthless.
And how is James in it? You have seen his
How's
work
James in it?
Yeah.
I obviously am biased, right? But I believe that he gave the performance of a generation in Glass, in Vidro. That's one of the great performances of all time that you're going to see in Glass. And what I mean by that is the exact right role for the exact right actor at the peak of his craft and completely committed, and no one could ever duplicate it. That's what you're going to see, this kind of you can't miss performance from James. It's ridiculous.
And how the Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis characters change over those years, you know?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just think about what if it's real? What if it's real? What would I feel? So if I had powers where I could touch people, sense their sins, how would that wear on me over time? Would that be difficult for me? Would I not want to be in crowds? Would I stay alone? Would that make me feel weird about humanity? Mm-hmm. And so I had that burden on David, on Bruce's character, when we see him and catch up with him. He doesn't want to be near people, you know. Mm-hmm. And Sam's character Elijah has been in the hospital for all these years, being taught and being medicated and saying what you think is not real, what you think is not real. So he's being indoctrinated into this kind of belief that he's wrong. And only until these two characters arrive back in the hospital with him does he start to wake up again.
After you did Unbreakable, in these last 20 years, superhero movies became such a presence in pop culture. Do you have a favorite kind of movie, like a Marvel Way or DC Comics movies? Do you watch them? Do you like watching them?
Oh yeah, I mean they're great. They're amazing. I mean you asked me which is my favorite.
Yeah, well, do you have one?
Well, yeah, I think the first Iron Man is my favorite Marvel movie. I think, you know, that tone that they caught, which I think invented their whole approach to the Marvel universe. I thought it was fantastic. You know, that kind of tongue-in-cheeky, but it was grounded. It felt real, and I felt connected to this guy and his feelings for his, assistant, and what happened in that cave, and the way they shot it. It was very, very real. Jon Favreau did an amazing job with it.
I believe that people ask you a lot this. If they ask you to do a superhero movie, what kind of character do you think would fit you better?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I've been asked to do a few, but I think, in terms of how I see the world, I think things that have more of a psychological bent would be great. Things that are dealing with the mind more, I think that would be more interesting. The Hulk would be a good one, in terms of dealing with your emotions and all those things. So I love that world.
Oh, the Beast is kind of a Hulk. Right?
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
And do you plan to do sequels of other of your movies? Do you think about that anyway?
Yeah, I'm not a big sequel guy. That's not, I like to tell new stories. I want to have a relationship with these guys where they're interested in the point of view, and we talk about different phenomenon and do genre, but do different ones each time. Like Sixth Sense is about ghosts, and Unbreakable is about comic books, and Signs is about aliens, and I want to tell different genre stuff like that. So I tend not to do sequels, but I love to tell new stories. I mean, I feel actually really close to authors like Stan Lee that just tell different stories. I mean, they're all comic books to him, but to him they were all different individuals.
When you did the visit, the kind of found footage movies, they were like on a downhill, and you kind of reinvigorated the found footage movies. Do you have genres that would you like to work, or it depends on the idea that comes to you?
Yeah, it depends on the idea. I definitely like to stay in the thriller genre now, but I can make it scarier or funny or more romantic and kind of move in that, but keep in that one vein. You always have to pick, like Glass for me is comic book movie and psychological thriller together, So like I feel I have the movement to make a comic book movie but still stay in the thriller genre.
You are always a guys that work with plot twists, and it's harder to keep that secret nowadays. How do you keep a secret in this world that's so connected?
It actually has. For me, it's actually a strange and wonderful time right now, because I think that was something I would worry about in the middle, but in between, as the internet started to become bigger and bigger, because Sixth Sense came out when there was really no internet. And so it was a different thing. But then for 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I did have this worry. Like, people would say something. But now, there's a whole culture and a whole kind of like respect that happens now because it's so readily available. People are very respectful, and Split would be an example. We showed Split, and everyone kept all the secrets. They kept the ending hidden until way later, and then the movie opened. I showed that movie to people months in advance, and they kept it, and they were very, I mean, it really actually was a sweet thing that the fans did and have continued to be supportive. For me, the movies are for the fans, and they should protect it. It's theirs to do what they want with.
I believe that your movies in general have a great balance of humor and terror and the supernatural elements. Can we expect that from Glass?
Yeah, it does have all those things. There's a balance of things that I find interesting as ingredients, and one of them is humor. I enjoy making people laugh in a kind of weird way, like inappropriate way. Like, I shouldn't be laughing at that, but I am. And James is hilarious in the movie, as is Sam Jackson. They're both really, really funny in the movie.
And I have to say, you say video really well.
Oh, really? I guess maybe in the beginning of the day I was messing it up, but I got a little bit of that TH in there now.
Thank you very much, Knight.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You guys
Hope
are wonderful.
you're having a great con, and you are always welcome back.
Thank you. I can't wait to come back.
All right. A gente já volta aqui para a transmissão M. Night Shyamalan e o vidro. Olha só que beleza. Já voltamos.